Hi Scarborough, Southwest. My name is Amanda Kane. I am a former resident and lifelong Scarboroughian. I am with the Green Party of Canada, and I would like to represent you as your MP in this federal election. My background is in project management, and over the last 15 years, I've managed projects that develop youth economic opportunities through entrepreneurship, career training, education, and mostly in at-risk neighborhoods and priority youth. So this is looking to the green fields and burgeoning labor markets. A lot of my experience comes from my lived experience here in Scarborough. I was born and raised, grew up on Alistair, went to RH King, and I love my community. I was educated through Centennial College at Corporate Communications, and I know what we need to see happen here in Scarborough Southwest. We need some economic development.
Hello, my name is Bill Blair, and I have served for the past 4 years as the Member of Parliament for Scarborough Southwest. I am, for the 2019 election, the Liberal candidate in this riding. Prior to getting into politics, I spent 39 years with the Toronto Police Service. I served as the Chief of Police in Toronto for 10 years, and quite frankly, I've spent my life in public service, working particularly for the people of Toronto to keep them safe. In the last 4 years, doing very similar work on issues of safety in the community. My most important work, of course, is serving the people of Scarborough Southwest.
Hello, my name is Itulo Iwarastini. I'm with the People's Party of Canada, and I'm looking to become the next MP for Scarborough Southwest. What qualifies me for this position is my unique life experience. I've studied chemical engineering in Ryerson University, and I've graduated with a Bachelor of Engineering degree. However, I, like many others, have been forced to work multiple low-paying jobs, such as landscaping or customer service representative type jobs, in order to get by. This unique perspective gives me the ability to have an on-the-ground experience that many other politicians do not have.
Hi, I'm Keith McCready. I'm the NDP candidate for the federal election here in Scarborough Southwest. I'm an Ojibwe and Cree man, a father of 4 children, and a resident of Scarborough Southwest. I feel that I am qualified for this position because over the past 26 years I've been working with the community, learning skills in finance, community development, relationship building, advocacy, and business. And I feel that these skills, as long as my passion and commitment to the community, will help me in this role.
My name is Kimberly Fawcett Smith, and I'm the Conservative candidate for Scarborough Southwest. I have 22 years of leadership experience within a bureaucratic environment. And governments are by nature bureaucratic, be it municipal, provincial, or federal. And I have the experience to navigate in, through, and to fight against those bureaucracies. And those are the skills that I can bring to the residents of Scarborough Southwest. I'm also a resident of the riding, and what happens to the riding also happens to me.
My name is Simon Livisi. My party is the Animal Protection Party of Canada. Based on my experience, I've led the Toastmasters Club. I'm also leading the Canadian Memory Championships as the chair of this organization. So I have leading experience, and so I believe that I am suited to lead riding, and so that's why I'm running in this election.
To me, a strong community is a community that defines itself, a community who knows each and every one of its members and is welcoming and informed. I think a strong community knows the strengths of each person and brings those strengths back into the group. I think a strong community also knows the needs and builds on those and continues to work together to improve. I plan to support this community by being present, by knowing the community members and being able to be accessible and prioritize their needs before anything else.
To create strong communities, I think the Scarborough Bluffs Community Association is doing a great job. This is something that we've been very proud of in our community, is working together and supporting each other. And I think building resilient communities is what comes next. Resilience includes planning for the future and how we're going to deal with it collectively. And so part of what we like to do through the Greens is constant education on how we can reduce our footprints as citizens, how we can work collectively on improving our neighborhoods, whether that be group purchase of compostable materials for local restaurant owners, or how we can do shoreline cleanups together. I think the more time we spend together, the stronger our community will be. And that will ensure that we have a welcoming community for new folks who are coming in, and allowing newcomers to settle quickly and be supported by a strong community.
To me, a strong community is a community where people can participate in the decision making. A strong community is a community where people are kind to each other. A strong community has art, has people involved in the arts. As your elected representative, I certainly would like to attend these events and sponsor them if possible.
A strong community is one where people are able to talk to one another in a fulsome manner. It's a community that is united, who knows one another and knows what's going on in the riding. Scarborough SouthWest is a very large, diverse community, so communication is key. We need to move, and the leader for this community needs to move beyond diversity towards inclusivity, because that's what helps people communicate. People need to feel comfortable that they're able to air their grievances in a safe environment, and that they have a leadership that is going to listen to them and communicate back respectfully. As an amputee, I have always fought the perception that I am somehow less than, and so I've had to work harder and I've had to fight harder just so that I could give people the perception that I could. I climbed Kilimanjaro just because people said I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think we're very, very fortunate in Scarborough SouthWest in that all of the neighborhoods and all of the neighbors are very committed to this community. And I've had the opportunity now for almost 4 decades, but certainly very intensely over the last 4 years, to get to know the people of this community, to attend community events, community festivals, to see how committed people are to their kids, to their community, to the growth of Scarborough. And so I think that is our strength. This is a community where kids take their kids to the park, where they interact with their neighbors, where they support local businesses on their street, and where they get involved in community service. And so we have so many great partners and friends in this community. I think it is the strength of Scarborough SouthWest, and I think it's what makes it such a great place to live.
Okay. What I believe makes a strong community is a community being united behind a common goal. This common goal should be to make Canada a prosperous nation. We should respect everybody's differences, however, we should all be focused on what's best for the interest of the average Canadian.
It's difficult to talk about a single key issue because the issues and challenges facing us are complex. I think certainly the threat of environmental change. I believe this country and the globe is facing a climate emergency, and it demands action from us, and bold and ambitious action. Just ambition alone isn't going to get the job done. We've got a lot of work to do. But at the same time, I also recognize that many people and families in this community are struggling to support their kids and to get ahead. They're working hard, and we have a responsibility to do everything we can to support them, their children. We've made very significant investments in this community in the Canada Child Benefit, in summer jobs programs, in job skill training. We're making investments here at Adanac and other buildings in improving the quality of housing. There are many challenges, but those challenges are also opportunities to serve this community, and we look forward to an opportunity to continue with that important work.
I think We have in Canada and across the world a climate change emergency. This particular riding may not feel the effect as much as some other countries that are going to be submerged by raising seawaters. Nevertheless, we have to pull our share fair. We have to do what needs to be done in this riding as well to save the others. And it will affect us as well, perhaps not to the same extent, but I think it is important that the world gets together and deal with this emergency. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I'm running in this election. Thank you.
The key issue I think voters should consider is climate change. We have a relationship with this earth, and we need to respect that. If the sun stops shining, if the water stops flowing, if the earth stops growing, we cease to exist. The NDP has a great plan to make sure that we use this crisis as a learning tool, that we invest in renewable energy and create 300,000 new jobs while we tackle this crisis. We need to respect this relationship and be kind to the earth, and this is a way that we can do that in a meaningful way.
The key issue I believe you should base your vote around is the issue of the federal deficit. All the other parties are not taking this issue seriously. They're all making outlandish spending promises. We are the only party that's willing to look at this issue and look after the well-being of Canada's financial future. We will look at areas such as corporate welfare and foreign aid, which are areas that we can cut that do not affect the average Canadian.
One of the key issues that I believe the riding is facing is the issue of affordability. I think the current tax and spend economic philosophy, it's just not sustainable. And I believe that we have to come to a sense of how we are going to live within our means, and an affordability platform provides that means. That doesn't mean that that we're going to neglect the environment or anything like that. That's on the contrary. While the other three parties are focusing on an apocalyptic viewpoint, their platforms are also putting the burden on individual people to pay for the emissions struggles, and the Conservative Party has said our target really should be to the heaviest polluters, first and foremost, before we come down to the backs of the people, because affordability is an issue. And when residents have to decide between heating their home or putting food on the table, to me that's just untenable. We can live within our means and still reduce emissions and take care of our environment.
The status quo is not working for us anymore. We need to vote with our conscience and to be brave and to make choices based on the future. Yes, we have to be careful about our deficit, but we also need to be careful about who we elect in to ensure that they aren't just toting a party line, but they are speaking on the basis of their community. As Greens, we are able to vote on our conscience. We are able to speak from our community, and we don't have whipped votes. So therefore, we can always speak from the voices of the community that we represent.
I would really love to be the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. It is an issue I am personally very passionate about, and it's an issue our party has very different ideas than the traditional parties. And in my opinion, the traditional parties have not done well in this file, and it's something that should be looked at in the future.
If elected and my Prime Minister asks if I want to hold a position within government, I'd be willing to accept any duties or tasks that he assigns to me. But I have a particular affinity and passion for issues dealing with people with disabilities, veterans definitely, but also sports.
In 2019, Greens are realistic. We know we're not going to hold the balance of power, nor do we think that any government is actually going to hold the balance of power. We think it's going to end up in a minority government. We would like to elect more Greens to Parliament. From the east to the west coast, this is extremely realistic. I would like to be that voice for Scarborough Southwest in Ontario. If I was able to be given a ministerial position, it would be probably a new ministry where we would be combining future labor markets and costing out what it's going to look like to do the training. We would need to be sitting with the federal leaders, provincial, municipal, and even school boards to ensure that our students are being trained in the fields that are seeing demand. You know, automation and AI are taking over, and we need to ensure that folks have great careers, they feel that they're being useful, and they're not going to be sitting idly by. Unfortunately, our government right now is not doing a great job in communicating the future economic trends with students. And so I would love to be the Minister of Innovation and Labor Force.
If I win in this election and I get the chance to have a ministry, I would like to have it to be election reform, like election renewal. I've been working on this issue in 2008 for the Ontario referendum, and in my writing we were able to get the score above the necessary threshold. We didn't get the proportional representation, but in my writing then we did succeed, and we were really dragging our heels there on that issue, and I feel that I could really get things going. So that would be the ministry I'd want.
When I win, I would love to drive the success of the Ministry of Indigenous Services. I know myself best, and I know that when I'm passionate about something, I give it my all. I feel that working alongside the community all these years has given me the strength and skills I need to be able to lead truth and reconciliation in a positive and meaningful way.
You know, I was very fortunate in the last Parliament to be named a cabinet minister in the federal government. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm the first Scarborough minister in the cabinet in over 35 years. I was given responsibility for border security and organized crime reduction and a number of other difficult files. I've spent most of my life working in public safety, and I believe that's where I could make the greatest contribution. But I think what perhaps one of the most important things for me is the opportunity to sit at the cabinet table, to bring the perspective and the concerns of the people of Scarborough Southwest to the cabinet table, and to share with the Prime Minister and my cabinet colleagues, you know, the things that are real concerns to our community and to my constituents. You know, their aspirations for their children, their hope for the future, their concerns about the environment, and to bring their voice to the cabinet table is perhaps the greatest honor and my greatest responsibility in the government.
If elected and a Conservative government is not victorious, how do I see my role in government? I think it is simply accountability. It's holding the government to account, while at the same time supporting my constituents. There's a lot of things that I could do to help my constituents, regardless of whatever party is governing.
When I win this election, I plan to be a strong and sincere advocate for the people of Scarborough Southwest. Regardless of the outcome of the election, I will advocate and make sure that all the needs and the voices of the community are represented in a meaningful way. I plan to advocate and be relentless in that.
Well, I will tell you, I hope that we do win and form government. I think this is a very important election. I think Canadians and the people of Scarborough Southwest have an important choice to make, whether they want a government who's going to continue to work hard to move the country forward, to serve all Canadians, to create a better future for our kids, take real action on climate change, and to truly embrace and support the great diversity of this country, or whether they want to go backwards. But regardless of the outcome of the election, if I am given the opportunity to continue to serve this community, my greatest responsibility is and will always be to represent to the best of my ability the people of Scarborough Southwest. That's the most important job that I've got, and if I get re-elected to serve this community, that's the work that I'll do.
Minority governments can yield lots of power because people have to work collaboratively together, they have to negotiate, and they have to speak on the best interest of all Canadians. And this is actually what our country needs right now. If I win for Scarborough Southwest and become your MP, I will be able to work collaboratively because this is part of what the Greens value most. We need to sit down and create a wartime cabinet to address climate change. We need people from all parties to represent all viewpoints of Canadians to ensure that the just transition is equitable and it's fair for folks from the oil fields to the fisheries to Ontario and industrial sectors. This is something that we see as a great opportunity, not as a threat. Most parties, they like to say, I'm going to win and we're going to win it all. Well, let's be realistic here. When we work collaboratively together, we have better outcomes. When people have a stranglehold on power, what happens? It strangles success. And so the Greens are focused on collaboration and building for the future. We're not right, we're not left. We plan on building the future together.
I will be a person who will be willing to stand up for local issues. Our party is a party that will allow for free votes on most issues, so I will be able to speak my mind and vote the way I want without being muzzled by the party leadership.
My party will not win, by the way. As I mentioned to you, we have 17 candidates in this election. But if any one of our candidates manage to win, it will be a victory for our party, and we'll all be celebrating. But as a candidate, if I win and I see my responsibility to the riding, well, I am like a liaison to Parliament, and I can put the grievances of residents of this area to Ottawa. I can be the link to that. I can also tell you what's happening in Ottawa, making a report and so on. And I can also, in Ottawa, I can help there to make our country a better country, to make it work better. Well, it's funny you ask this because, as I mentioned, I'm the chair of the Canadian Memory Championships in Canada, and so I have people use memory techniques, which is an innovative way to do something better than normal methods. And I can innovate like that, and I can push for innovative ways of doing things. And we do need innovation to face the climate emergency that this riding and the whole world is facing. And I'd be really flattered if people remembered that about me as they are about to go voting. Thank you.
Remember me as somebody who's willing to stand up for the best interests of Canadians, despite what the media might say or the mainstream political parties might say. Also, you can remember me as somebody who is willing to put their name forward to run for a brand new party that's pulled something unprecedented in Canadian politics history. We're able to fill 93% of ridings with a candidate, which has not been done before.
As voters go into the voting booth, the one thing that I want them to remember, besides my name, is that I am a fighter and that I am prepared to fight for them. My life has all been about service, and service to people and service to my country. That's it.
I've had the opportunity over a number of decades to serve the people of this community, and for the last 4 years as their Member of Parliament. I have worked hard to be worthy of their trust and their support, and I would very sincerely and respectfully ask the voters of Scarborough Southwest, when you're casting your ballot, I would ask for your consideration to give me an opportunity to continue to serve you, to continue to serve this community, to work hard on your behalf, to represent your views in Ottawa, and to ensure that the federal government is responsive to your aspirations, your hopes for your children, your concern for our planet. I'll continue to work hard for you.
Whether you're voting in advanced polls or you're behind the screen on election day, I want you to remember one thing. Amanda is not only your neighbor, but she is a mom, and she's building and fighting for the future. Your neighbor is got you in mind. Your neighbor has your best interest at heart, because I am accountable to you. I am not accountable to the party. I am accountable to the riding, to the constituents, and to you, my neighbor.
I want people to remember when they vote this year that I've been walking alongside all of the communities I'm part of for the last 26 years and have not wavered. I see my role as a servant of the community through leadership. And I want people to remember that if we want change and we want something different, we're going to have to make different choices. And I think voting for myself and the NDP is the best choice in this election. Thank you.